As we discussed earlier, it's very important to apply all the concepts that we are studying in this course through code. So here we are going to answer that simple question, that easier question that we asked in the last video. How many heads will come up if I flip a coin 10 times? So we're going to do this using code, and in this lecture we are going to cover some very important concepts about conducting experiments. So we're starting off simple so that we can focus a little bit on how experiments are conducted. So make sure that you pay attention to these very simple concepts. So as always, we are going to import Matplotlib and Seaborn, and we are going to generate a random number which is going to be used to simulate a coin flip. So we are going to say np.random.uniform, low is equal to 0 and high is equal to 1. If we do that, we can generate numbers, but we don't want numbers. What we need is a head or a tail. We are going to write a very simple function flip, which takes one argument as its input, and it generates that many coin flips as a result. So we are going to start off with a very simple list. We are going to run this num number of times. We are going to generate a random number. If that random number is greater than 0.5, then we say it's heads. Otherwise, we are going to say it's tails. So essentially, now we have created a fair coin. It's fair because anything above 0.5 is going to be a heads, and anything less than or equal to is going to be a tails. And if you recall, uniform ensures that all the values are equally likely, so we have created a fair coin. So let's go ahead and run this. By the way, if you've seen my course on Beyond Basic Programming, we cover the concept of generators over there, which you should be using here, but since that's slightly beyond the scope of this course, I'm going to skip that. So we have this function over here. We can go ahead and call it. So flip, flip, flip. You keep doing that. By the way, I'm holding down control and hitting enter. So that is how I'm repeatedly running this cell. So flip, 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 flip. And as you can see, it's generating heads and tails in a list. We can also go ahead and say generate 10 flips. So flips is equal to flip 10, and that is going to generate 10 flips for us. Okay. We can also go ahead and count the different values in this. So if you do that and output that, you will see that we have this number heads and tails. So we have 8 heads and 2 tails. We don't have to count them manually because remember, we're doing this for 10 right now, but we're going to scale it up. So instead of counting them by hand, we are using the np.unique, and we are telling it to return the counts as well. So it's going to unique out the values and also return their corresponding counts. So that's out of the way. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a very specific problem. So let's first get rid of this. I'm going to run this. So it's going to give me some number. If I run it again, it gives me another number, and so on and so forth. The problem with this is, if I run an experiment which has randomness in it, which is what we want, it's probability, chance, we need randomness in it. Okay. But if we run this experiment and at the end of our experiment, something goes wrong, we have to reproduce that. So that is a basic fundamental concept of programming, that if you have an error, you have to be able to reproduce it. If you cannot reproduce an error, then that does not guarantee that there is no error in it. It's just that you're not seeing it. And if an error comes out because of some particular random number value and we cannot reproduce it, that really undermines our whole experiment that we are conducting and using to demonstrate our model. So what we want to do is we want to keep the randomness. We cannot get rid of that because that's the whole concept around these experiments of probability. We cannot get rid of it, but we have to make the randomness reproducible. Let me explain what that means. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. So I'm going to run this, and then I'm going to do this. Please take a note of the values that are coming out. So the value is 0.548, then 0.715, and then 0.602. If I go ahead and restart my whole notebook and run this cell again, it's still going to give me random numbers, but these random numbers, the first 3 that I've seen, those are going to be reproduced. So again, if I start off by setting this seed, I'm going to explain what this seed is in a minute. But if I do that and generate another uniform number, it's going to give me the same numbers, 0.548, 0.715, 0.602. I know these 3 numbers are going to always be produced in this sequence because I reset the seed at the beginning. I don't know what the 4th number is going to be. That is the randomness that I have in my experiment. I don't know what the 4th number is, but I do know that if I reset it, it's going to be the same random numbers each time. So that makes our experiments reproducible. How does this work? The way this works is computers are deterministic. they cannot have randomness in them. They have specific sets of rules. The classic computers that we use, they have specific sets of rules. One thing goes in, a very specific thing comes out. So if you need actual randomness, you need to start off with some sort of a quote unquote seed. That seed in the computer typically comes from the real world. For instance, the computer's microphones, ambient background noise is used to generate a number. So that number, because it's coming from the real world, it's going to be unique, or it's going to be really random. And the computer is going to take that initial number, which is called the seed, and then it's going to multiply and divide and do some operations with it so that it can generate some future numbers. So what we're saying over here is, instead of starting that seed from the real world, which can be anything, start from zero. So because we have the seed fixed, it's going to create the random numbers after resetting of the seed the same way every time. Okay, so the number that you set at seed is not important. You can set it to 0. People typically set it to 1337, which is kind of like LeetCode, if you know what that is. It's not important what this particular number is, but you will see this np.random.seed in almost all randomness related experiments. And the reason is, you need randomness, but you need reproducible randomness. So anybody who runs this code again should have the same randomness so that they can reproduce the results that you produced. Because as you know, in science, reproducibility of experiments is extremely important. So this was a very important concept that we've covered in this video. Whenever you're doing an experiment, the way you do this is, you go ahead. So we're going to write the whole code again. So matplotlib numpy, as soon as you import numpy or numpy, whatever you want to call it, you immediately go ahead and set np.random.seed to some particular number. So you're going to see this pattern again and again in data science, machine learning code. You just need to remember that you have to do this to make your code have reproducible randomness. Okay, so this is again the same code that we've done above. So we've only brought all of that into one cell. We have flips and we have values and counts. So we are outputting this value over here. Now what we want to do is, we want to scale this up really far. So instead of calculating 3 and 7, we want to calculate the probability of heads coming up based on our experiment that we've run. So we've done 10 flips. The probability over here is 0.3 for heads and 0.7 for tails. So we want to take this a step further. We are going to take this list of experimental outcomes and we are going to convert them into an actual probability. Okay, so for that, what we want to do is, first we want to convert this list into a dictionary which takes either H or T as a key and returns 3 or 7 as the value. So if we say over here freaks H, it should say 3. Okay, and length of flips is obviously the total number of flips. So favorable outcome divided by the total number of experiments gives us the probability of that favorable outcome. The way we do that is, we have this flips over here. We are going to pass it to a function get frequencies. All this frequencies is going to do is, it's going to use the counter function from the collections library of Python. What this counter does is, it goes and counts them. So it counts T 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. H comes along. So T is now 5, H is 1, T is 6, H is 1, T is 6, H is 2, T is 6, H is 3, and T is 7, H is 3. So it's going to do that. We are going to cast that into a dictionary explicitly for a very particular reason and then return it. Okay, so let's run that. So these are our flips. If you output that, it produces this guy over here. T is 7, H is 3. And you can output the probability over here. Now, this is another very slight problem that we have with probabilities. All the outcomes need to have a probability. You cannot say that the probability of H is not defined. It's not there. It can be 0, but it has to be there because it's one of the possible outcomes. So in order to demonstrate that, let's go ahead and do an experiment with just one flip. So this comes out as tails. Let's run everything again. So because H simply does not occur in this, the counter is not going to add that as a key. And as a result of that, if we run this, we are going to get a key error. H is not present in this dictionary. So again, you could go ahead and check here using an if H is in frequency, then calculate the probability, otherwise set the probability to 0. You can do that using basic programming logic, but I'm going to share the way people typically do this in Python. So this is the Pythonic way of doing things. You don't reproduce this thing because it's going to make your code look ugly wherever you're calculating probabilities. You are going to use, if you don't know what that is, we are going to use a default dictionary. So instead of converting the counter into a dictionary, we are going to cast it into a default dictionary of type integer. What that means is, let's go ahead and run this. So now you can see that it's a default dictionary and the value is the same. But what default dictionary does is, if you ask it for a key that does not exist in this dictionary, it's simply going to return a 0 because it's an integer type default dictionary. So when you do that, it's going to be 0 divided by length of flips and it's going to work out perfectly fine. Okay. So the point to note over here is you use default dictionaries whenever you anticipate that there can be things which are not present in the keys, but you still need to call them. So instead of doing ifs and checks, tries and accepts, you do a default dictionary. Okay. Now let's go ahead and scale this up to 1,000 flips. So maximum flips is going to be 1,000. What we're going to do is we're going to start off from 1 and go right up to 1,000. We are going to, in the first experiment, we are going to do whatever we did over here for just 1 flip. Then we're going to do it for 2 flips. Then we're going to do it for 3 flips, and we are going to go all the way up to 1,000 flips. Each time we are going to calculate the probability based on that number of flips. So for instance, we are going to calculate what the frequency of H is if we run an experiment in which we have 200 flips. Then for 201 flips, a separate probability is going to be calculated. So what we're doing is we are running 1,000 experiments, starting with the smallest experiments, going all the way up to a very large experiment of 1,000 flips, right? So if I change this to 2,000, I am not going to increase my time twice. It's going to go up to 1,000, then 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004. So it's going to exponentially increase. So I don't want to do that. So let's do for 1,000 flips, and when we run it and see the output, you'll see what this is doing, right? So I urge you to please go ahead and take a look at the code. It's very simple. We do the flips, we get their frequencies, and we calculate the probabilities for this number of flips. Okay, that we've done earlier on as well. Okay, and we append the probabilities to probs_h, which is a list which is going to save all the results. So if we print frequencies, you can see that the very last time we did the frequencies for 1,000, heads came up 494 times and tails came up 505 times. So it's around 0.5, not exactly. We can plot it. So you can see that initially our probability of heads started at exactly 0 because it was just 1 flip, and that might have come out as tails. Then it jumped to 0.6 and so on until it has started oscillating around the 0.5 marks, never actually getting to the 0.5. And the reason for that is it's still a finite number of experiments. And in order to get exactly 0.5, you'll have to run this experiment an infinite number of times. Okay, so we are just plotting that. What if we want to take a look at what's happening around at the beginning over here or at the exact end over here? We can output the same thing, except we are not going to output all the probs. We are going to output only the first 10 probabilities. Okay, so we can do that. You can see that it started at 0, remained at 0, jumped to 0.33, and then to 0.6 and so on, and then it started oscillating over here. We can also do this plot for the final 10 values. So max flips minus 10 up to that. Okay, so we don't actually need this maximum flips. We can do it like that. So the last 10 flips are around 0.51, 0.48. So it's around 0.5. So make sure that you note the units over here. This is going from 0 to 0.6, and this is going from 0.48 to 0.52. So much more accurate over here, much more precise. Okay, so this is the end of our experiment. Now, what if I want to zoom in on this portion over here, right? So it's very difficult to calculate what that is. So I'm going to leave you off with another library, which is called Bokeh or Bokeh or however we want to call it. This is an interactive plot. It's almost the same idea as Matplotlib. So as I said earlier, if you understand Matplotlib, all the other libraries are fairly simple. So you install it using pip install Bokeh. You are going to import stuff over here. So this is needed. Just as Matplotlib requires Matplotlib inline, this requires output_notebook, which is going to set up all the JavaScript and stuff for our interaction. So you'll see what this means in a minute. We are going to create a figure. This is the title, X axis label, Y axis label, width, height, slightly different syntax, same idea. Okay, so we run that, and then we are going to set the X values, and the Y axis is going to be set using the dot line function instead of the dot plot function. And then we are going to say show P. So that is going to generate this very interactive plot. So you can go ahead and move this around. You can go ahead and zoom in on any particular area. You can also go ahead and use this magnifying glass to zoom in on a particular area, and so on and so forth. So it's very useful if you want to experiment with your results. So Bokeh is a very good library. You should get into the habit of using this as well. So here what we've done is we can go ahead and reset this. We have run this experiment, and at the end we have come up with this roughly 0.5 answer for our experiment. What you can do now is go ahead and change this to a non-fair coin. So for instance, over here, we can say, so where did we start our experiment? Over here. So over here, right? So 0.75. So let's go ahead and do this. So now if you do the same experiment, so let's go ahead and do it for Bokeh. You will see that it is now coming out at 0.25. Right? So let's try and zoom out a little bit. So you will see that it's coming out at 0.25 now, because the probability of heads is now 0.25. If you missed what I did, let me go back and show you. So I changed this guy over here, which was saying do the flip, generate a random number from 0 to 1. If the number is greater than 0.75, then treat it as an H. So now we are taking the whole one portion and only allocating 0.25% or 1/4 of it to heads. All the other 3/4 go to tails. So now heads has a lower probability. Okay. So we've done our easy question. Now we are going to go back to our mathematics and take a look at what rules we have for probability and what kind of powerful models we can create with very simple rules.